On our 5th anniversary, Maya Reynolds rejected my proposal again. Faced with the candlelight, the violinist, and the ring, she just looked at me with a mask of indifference. Yulian, I'm sorry. I'm still young. I want to wait a little longer. She seemed to have forgotten that she had used the exact same line the previous 2 times I'd asked. My name is Julian Thorne. It sounds like a name made for Wall Street, but for the last few years, I've been living like a love-struck fool. For Maya, I turned down a postdoctoral fellowship at Cambridge. I defied my parents' wishes for me to return to Palo Alto and take over the family empire. Instead, I willingly stayed in a cramped apartment in Oakland, working a mid-level job at a small logistics firm for $60,000 a year, just to be with her every day. I thought betting my entire future on her would eventually yield a definitive yes. Instead, I got endless variations of wait. My friends call me a joke. They said Julian Thorne had lost his mind, dragging himself from the clouds into the mud for a woman. I plugged my ears, refusing to listen, believing only in the gentle Maya I saw in my mind. But tonight, surrounded by 999 imported roses and a dazzling Cartier diamond, her apathy turned the whole scene into a farce. The string in my heart that had been pulled taut for 5 years finally snapped. The drive back to her apartment was dead silent. I didn't ask. She didn't explain. As we pulled up to her curb, her phone screen lit up on the console. An iMessage notification. I glanced at it inadvertently. The contact was saved as Director Vance. The preview text was a needle to the eye. Maya, did he try anything? Don't worry. Once our plan succeeds, you won't have to suffer this indignity anymore. My heart sank to the bottom of the bay. Director Vance? That was Victor Vance, the new design director of my current company. A man who looked honest, maybe even a bit dull. Maya was his subordinate. I remembered helping Victor when he first joined, buying him lunch, treating him like a friend. Our plan. I choked back the bile rising in my throat, my voice rasping. Maya clearly hadn't realized I'd seen it. She quickly flipped her phone onto her lap, eyes darting away. It's nothing. Just work stuff. Director Vance is very supportive of his team. Supportive? Supportive enough to use a nickname like Maya? Supportive enough to discuss our plan? I slammed on the brakes, jerking the car to a halt. Maya, look me in the eye. What is your relationship with Victor Vance? She was startled, but quickly recovered, putting on a mask of impatience and disgust. Julian, are you serious? Checking my phone? Just because I didn't say yes, you're going to accuse me of cheating? You're disappointing me. Her gaslighting was so practiced it sent a chill down my spine. 5 years of emotion felt suddenly pale and ridiculous. I was done waiting. The next day I called in sick. I played the role of a cheap private eye, parking across the street from Maya's office. At noon, I saw them. Maya and Victor walked out side by side, laughing. Victor naturally took her purse, his other hand sliding familiarly around her waist. Maya didn't flinch. She leaned into him like a contented cat. The sight branded itself onto my retinas. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white, shaking with rage. I thought I would storm out and tear them apart. But strangely, as the anger peaked, a cold, calculated calm washed over me. I raised my phone, zoomed in, and snapped clear photos of them embracing as they entered a high-end sushi restaurant. If I, Julian Thorne, was going to be pushed out of the game, I was going to understand the rules first. I spent the next week becoming a ghost. Utilizing old contacts and resources I hadn't touched in years, I investigated Victor Vance. The results were staggering. Victor wasn't just a director who moved from out of state. He was the son of Richard Vance, CEO of Vantage Tech, the primary rival of my family's corporation, Thor Dynamics. The heir of our biggest competitor hiding in a satellite office in Oakland? This was no simple affair. That phrase, our plan, echoed in my mind. Was Maya part of a long con from the very beginning? I hacked into Maya's laptop. The password was still my birthday. Hidden in an encrypted folder, I found a Word document titled Operation Voyager. It detailed everything. Step 1. Maya keeps me in Oakland, stalling my return to Thorne Dynamics using love and future promises. Step 2. Reject proposals to erode my will and my parents' faith in me. Step 3. Strike when Thorne Dynamics is vulnerable due to succession issues. Maya was promised marriage and 5% of Vantage Tech shares upon success. There was a contract signed 3 years ago. I realized I hadn't sacrificed my career for love. I had sacrificed it for a lie. I shut the laptop, feeling like I was falling into an abyss. After a long silence, I dialed a number I hadn't called in 5 years. Hello. The voice was authoritative, steady. My father, Arthur Thorne. Dad, I choked out. I want to come home. Silence stretched on the line. Finally, He spoke, a hint of exhaustion in his voice. I'll give you 3 days to clean up your mess. Then, get your ass back here. I didn't confront Maya immediately. That would be too easy. I sent her a text. Maya, sorry for snapping. I shouldn't have doubted you. I booked your favorite restaurant tonight. Let's talk. She replied instantly. Julian, I knew you were the best. I forgive you. Reading that I forgive you, I laughed until tears streamed down my face. That evening, at the top of the mark, Maya arrived dressed to kill in the Chanel gown I'd bought her. Julian, you're spending too much again, she chided playfully, eyeing the gift bag. I slid it across the table. Open it. She tore into the packaging, revealing a Patek Philippe watch. Avarice flashed in her eyes. Oh my God, Julian, this is too much. While protesting the cost, she was already fastening it to her wrist, admiring the way it caught the light. As long as you like it, I said, my eyes devoid of warmth. Maya, I've been thinking. I was too rushed before. You're right. We're young. Marriage can wait. Maya froze for a second. Then a look of smug relief washed over her. She thought she had me on a leash. Julian, hearing you say that makes me so happy, she said, squeezing my hand. I love you. I just need time. Take all the time you need. I replied tenderly, sneering internally. Time to help Victor destroy my family? By the way, I added casually, how's that new project at your work? The AI home integration one Victor is running? Thorn Dynamics is looking into that sector. Maybe there's room for collaboration. I dropped my family name deliberately. Her eyes flickered with panic. It's okay. Small project. Not worth mentioning. Collaboration is a long shot. Is that so? I smiled. The dinner continued, a perfect masquerade. I played the repentant boyfriend. She played the sweet angel. I drove her home. As she unbuckled her seatbelt, she leaned in, eyes half closed, expecting a kiss. I leaned close to her ear and whispered, Maya, tell Victor that Operation Voyager is over. Her body went rigid. The blood drained from her face in an instant. She stared at me, trembling, unable to form words. I leaned back, adjusting my cuffs calmly. Surprised I know? I smirked coldly. Did you really think your bad acting could fool me forever? I don't know what you're talking about, she stammered. No. I pulled out my phone and displayed the photo of her and Victor at the sushi place. Her face turned ash gray. She slumped into the seat. Julian, when did I find out? When you were texting your lover while I was driving home from my rejected proposal. I said flatly, Maya, I gave you 5 years. You didn't cherish a single second. No. Julian, listen. It was Victor. He forced me. She grabbed my arm, sobbing. He said if I didn't help him, he would. He would what? I cut her off with disgust. He would make you rich? Give you 5% of Vantage Tech. She fell silent, weeping. I tossed the cashier's check on her lap. $75,000. Considered a buyout for the last 5 years. We are even. I unlocked the doors. Get out. She begged, claiming she was blinded by greed, that she loved me. I watched her performance with nausea. Finally, realizing I was immovable, she stumbled out of the car. I saw her collapse on the sidewalk in the rearview mirror as I sped away. No regrets. Back in Palo Alto, my father threw a file onto his mahogany desk. Done playing house? He asked. I looked down. Sorry, Dad. Sorry doesn't fix this, he snapped. That file is our proprietary data for the Synapse Gen 3 chip. It leaked 3 days ago. Vantage Tech just announced their Apex chip with identical specs. We'll look like the copycats now. I picked up the file. Who leaked it? A senior engineer named Anderson. He resigned last week, citing family issues. We found $1 million in an offshore account. He's already gone. Victor's doing, I gritted my teeth. Exactly, Dad said. The board is panicking, stock is tanking. And you, my heir, we're wasting time in Oakland over a girl. His words were heavy hammers. Dad, give me the reins, I said, meeting his gaze. Give me 1 month. I will take back everything and make Vantage Tech pay. He studied me, then nodded. Go. I didn't counterattack immediately. To destroy an enemy, you must first make them arrogant. I called a closed-door meeting with the executives. Effective immediately, halt all development on Synapse Gen 3. We will dump our existing Gen 2 inventory at 30% below market cost. The room erupted. Mr. Thorne, that's suicide, the marketing director yelled. We're already losing share to the Apex chip. Trust me, I commanded. We aren't fighting them head-on. We are retreating to advance. The confusing strategy went into effect. Vantage Tech celebrated. Richard Vance gave interviews claiming Thorn Dynamics was a dinosaur. Victor Vance became the new darling of Silicon Valley. Victor and Maya appeared on financial news segments together. Maya, positioned as his supportive partner, beamed as they told their fabricated story of shared struggle and success. Watching them on the screen, I felt nothing but a cold calm. The higher they climbed, the harder the fall. Publicly, I played the defeated executive. Privately, I was in a sub-basement lab with our top physicists working on Project Phoenix. The Synapse Gen 3 leak was a calculated risk, a smoke bomb I prepared years ago. My real research at Cambridge had been on quantum architecture. 1 month later, with Vantage stock at an all-time high, I convened a press conference. The auditorium was packed. They wanted to see the fall of the Thorn dynasty. I walked onto the stage alone, wearing a simple black suit. No preambid. Ladies and gentlemen, I know the rumors. Today, I give you the answer. I clicked a remote. The screen behind me lit up with a rendering of a chip glowing with an ethereal blue light. Today, we introduce Phoenix, the world's first commercially viable quantum processor. The room exploded. Quantum? Impossible. It's vaporware. I ignored the shouts. The Phoenix operates at 5,000 times the speed of the Vantage Apex chip. Energy consumption is 1%. It extends battery life tenfold. It is not an upgrade. It is a new era. Silence fell. I know you don't believe me. I signaled, and 2 demo stations were wheeled out. One held the latest Vantage phone, the other our prototype. Let's load the most demanding mobile game on the market. The Vantage phone took 15 seconds. The Phoenix loaded it instantly. Now, calculate pi to the billionth decimal. The Vantage phone heated up, struggling. The Phoenix gave the answer in 0.3 seconds. Total domination. The reporters went feral, rushing the stage. While the world watched Thorn Dynamics change history, inside the Vantage CEO's office, Richard and Victor Vance stared at the screen in horror. Impossible. Victor screamed. It's fake. It's CGI. But then his phone rang. Sir, the stock. It's crashing. We hit the circuit breaker. We've lost 40% in 20 minutes. Then the sales director burst in. Orders are being canceled. Everyone wants the Phoenix. Richard Vance slumped in his chair, aging decades in seconds. He'd been outplayed. But I wasn't finished. On the screen at the conference, I pulled up the Operation Voyager document, the chat logs, and the proof of corporate espionage. Vantage Tech is a company built on theft, I announced to the cameras. Thorn Dynamics is filing suit against Richard Vance, Victor Vance, and their accomplice, Maya Reynolds, for industrial espionage and theft of trade secrets. When Maya's face hit the screen, the business news turned into a primetime drama. The aftermath was swift. Thorn Dynamics stock tripled. Vantage Tech was delisted. Banks pulled loans. Richard Vance was arrested. 3 days later, Victor asked to meet me at a diner. He looked wrecked. You won, he said bitterly. Synapse Gen 3 was bait. All warfare is based on deception. I sipped my coffee. Let my dad go. It was all my plan. I'll sign over the assets. It's not about the money, Victor, I said. It's about rules. You break them, you pay. I stood up to leave. Julian, he called out. Did you know about Maya from the start? I turned back. Did you think someone who turned down Cambridge and $1 billion inheritance was actually stupid? Victor flinched. I left him there. The truth was, I wasn't an idiot. 3 years ago, when Maya started spending way beyond her means, I investigated. I found a connection to Victor. I stayed in Oakland not for her, but to lull them into a false sense of security while I perfected the Phoenix chip in secret. My 5 years weren't wasted. They were the cost of a perfect ambush. Richard Vance got 15 years. Victor got 5. Vantage Tech was liquidated. Maya turned state's witness. Coupled with the record of my $75,000 breakup fee, labeled emotional settlement, she avoided jail time. But her reputation was incinerated. She was unemployable in the Bay Area. I heard she sold everything and moved into a tiny studio, working odd jobs. 1 month later, I saw her at a coffee shop near my office. She looked 10 years older, wearing cheap clothes, face scrubbed clean of makeup. She approached me, trembling. Julian. I said nothing. She placed a cashier's check on the table. This is the $75,000 and another $20,000 from selling the gifts. It's all I have. I'm paying you back. I was surprised. Trying to clear your conscience? No. She shook her head, tears welling. I just want to keep a shred of dignity. She looked me in the eye. Julian, I know it doesn't matter now, but I need to tell you one thing about Operation Voyager. What? Victor didn't just approach me because I was your girlfriend. My father, he had gambling debts. $5 million to loan sharks. Victor bought the debt. He told me if I didn't help him, he'd break my father's legs and traffic my mother overseas. I was terrified. I was just a student. She wept openly. I wanted to tell you. That night you proposed the second time. I almost did, but I saw how happy you were. I was scared you despised me and my family's baggage. So I agreed. I thought I could play both sides, maybe protect you. But I got in too deep. She wiped her face. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know. Those 5 years, I really did love you. She turned and walked out into the crowd. I sat there, the coffee turning cold. The hatred I felt began to leak away, replaced by a heavy, complex pity, a woman pushed by fate. I thought that was the end. But a week later, Marcus, my father's assistant and old friend, knocked on my door. Julian, there's a supplementary report on the Reynolds girl. You need to see this. I opened the file. It was a thunderclap. The gambling debt was real, but it was small, only $50,000. The real leverage wasn't debt. It was a car accident 3 years ago. Maya's parents were run off the road. Her father nearly lost his leg. The driver was never found, but a payment was traced from Victor's assistant to the driver. Victor had threatened her parents' lives. And there was more. When she initially refused, Victor hired a thug to assault her, to film it for blackmail. The report said the attempt was thwarted. By Arthur Thorne. Marcus had discovered the plot while vetting Maya years ago. My father had intervened, saving her from a heinous assault, ensuring the thug disappeared. Neither I nor Maya knew. Your father wanted to tell you, Marcus said softly. But he knew your temper. You would have gone after Victor and ruined the company's long-term strategy. He chose to stay silent. He watched you suffer because he knew the company couldn't afford a mistake. He waited for you to wake up on your own. My mind went blank. My father had been acting too, playing the cold patriarch while secretly protecting the woman who was betraying his son just to keep me safe. Maya hadn't lied, but she hid the worst of it. She protected me from the knowledge of the violence used against her. She destroyed herself to keep me from doing something reckless. Suddenly, the corporate victory felt like ash in my mouth. I grabbed the check she left and ran out. I drove frantically through the city, checking her old apartment. Gone. Her phone was disconnected. She had vanished. The next morning, I found my father drinking tea. Stop looking, he said. Marcus sent her away. Where? I demanded. Somewhere quiet. A small town in Montana. I set her up with a house and a job. It's what we owe her. Dad. Julian, broken mirrors can't be fixed, he said, looking tired. She's been through hell. You will always have a thorn in your heart if you see her. Let her go. I stood there, tears finally falling. Not for the romance, but for the tragedy of it all. We were all pawns. I never saw Maya again. I led Thorn Dynamics to global dominance. I became the titan everyone expected me to be. I had the world, but I knew I had lost the only person who had ever loved me simply for being Julian. Late at night, looking out over the Silicon Valley lights, I think of her. We all wore masks to protect what we loved. And in the end, the masks became who we were. Some things, once missed, are gone forever. Story complete.